Half-time at the SCG, it's the Sydney Swans leading the Gold Coast Suns by 18 points in what has been, Tom Harley, a very entertaining first half of football.
Yeah, it certainly has been, Baz. I think the Suns have been impressive. It's fair to say the game went true to form in the second half of that quarter where the Swans really started to flex their muscles.
Well, Kurt Tippett has joined the Sydney Swans. In many ways, it was the big story of the off-season, of course, until the Essendon drama began to unfold. I'm delighted to say Kurt Tippett joins us this afternoon. Kurt, how are you going into your first home game as a Sydney Swan?
Yeah, very much enjoying this afternoon. Obviously, it's been a bit dampened by the rain, but as hard as it is to watch, I'm enjoying the game.
Obviously, it was a big story in the off-season. It's settled down largely now. A few comments from some of your former teammates at Adelaide, but are you at peace with everything as it stands?
Yeah, look, I've used this time to move forward, and I'm really enjoying my time here in Sydney. It's been a great pre-season, and I can't wait to get out on the field.
Kurt, Tom Harley here. We've heard you talk a couple of times already about settling into Sydney, but more so the culture of the Bloods. Can you give us a bit of an insight there?
Yeah, obviously the culture of the Bloods is something that's much talked about. It's hard to pin down, but I just think it's the way they do the little things that sets them apart.
And onto the game, we're seeing often that John Longmire's going with 4 talls up forward. You coming back would make it 5. How do you think the structure might evolve as the season progresses for the Swans?
Yeah, look, that's going to be a tough question. Look, yeah, we'll just continue playing. Hopefully everyone's injury-free and happy, healthy and fit. So, yeah, look, I'll just look to be in my best shape that I can be, and we'll see how I can fit into the side.
Round 13, I think it is, Kurt, that you're eligible to play. So how do you go about keeping your mind on the job in that long layoff period?
Oh, look, I'll just try and settle in. I'll train as hard as I possibly can. I've had a few little setbacks. I had finger surgery about 3 weeks ago, but that's good, and I'll have a 10-week preparation leading into round 13.
We're doing some work with the Swans Academy under Premiership coach Paul Roos. Is this perhaps a bit of an eye to the future that coaching might be your go?
Oh, I'm not quite sure about that at the moment, but it's a fantastic opportunity to learn off Paul and the other guys and to keep my mind on the job while I'm not playing.
And Kurt, where would you like to play when you're in this Sydney team? Where do you see your best position with the Sydney Swans in their setup?
Oh, I see myself playing in the ruck and also up forward, hopefully playing both those roles pretty well.
And how have you seen the first half? The Suns came out really well. They looked brave and they structured up well, able to keep Gary Ablett under wraps. How have you seen it?
Yeah, look, it was very hotly contested in the first quarter. It was good to see us break away a bit in that second quarter. Jared McVeigh doing some great work in front of goals there.
Well, Kurt, we wish you all the best. It is a long layoff, 13 weeks, isn't it? But we know that you're itching to get out there. Thank you for your time this afternoon, and we hope you can stay busy over the next couple of months.
Yeah, certainly am. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Kurt Tippett, he's an interesting story, isn't it? Obviously, so much publicity and drama around it, but he seems very level-headed with it and coping quite well.
Well, I'll tell you what, Baz, he spoke about trying to keep himself in good shape. I see him around the traps of Sydney, and he's in absolutely ripping condition. So, a few more weeks on the sidelines, but he's going to be an absolute gem come the back half of the year.
Good game of footy here at the SCG. Sydney by 18 points. There's some big football still to come in round 2. Wet day at the SCG. The Sydney Swans, the reigning premiers, they lead the Gold Coast Suns by 18 points, 6-4-40. The Gold Coast Suns 3-4-22. I'm with Craig Bolton and, of course, Tom Harley. And down on the boundary line, he's been enjoying it. I think his first afternoon down on the boundary since he retired, what was it, a couple of years ago after 10 seasons with the Bombers. Andrew Welsh. Andrew, how are you enjoying it down there?
Yeah, it's fantastic, thank you. The weather's holding up for the moment, so I'm liking it when it stays like this.
Welsh, we've been really impressed with the Gold Coast Suns, and I've noticed a former teammate of yours in Solomon was actually, Dean Solomon's one of the coaches. Can you see something in the way perhaps they're playing?
Yeah, definitely, and in particular the way that they started with their contested football. I know Dean was a great guy to play with because that was what he really held high, and you can see that coming out with his young defenders. We also saw Murphy, who probably I thought was going to go off, has stayed out there, and he's one that I'm sure Dean would have a word to in the change room to say, mate, this is when we need you to really stand up.
Well,
Well, solid rain early on in the game. Seemed to ease off in the second part of that quarter. How's the ground held up under these conditions, and can we expect a more free-flowing game in the second half?
Yeah, I think so. I think the ground has held up pretty well considering the rain that has been here the last couple of days, and also so far in this game. You can find, especially when it starts to dry up, the ball can get really sticky. You can get a really exciting, good game of footy to watch. So let's hope that's the case for today.
Good on you, Welsh. You're doing a great job. Great to have you on the team earlier today here at the SCG. A magic moment for the Sydney Swans, of course. Their 5th premiership. They won it last year with a 10-point victory over Hawthorn at the MCG on grand final day. And all of the players, the whole squad, the current players and their partners, wives and girlfriends out there. And there it was, the great moment. Even the boss of the AFL over, and in these wet conditions, Tom, only right that the top man donned the poncho, although, as you would know, they're never that easy to get on, are they?
Now, it's always tough, the poncho, but it's great to see AFL CEO Andrew Demetriou come up and recognise the unfurling of the flag. And the Swans do events extremely well, and they did that exceptionally well, to have not only the players, the staff, but also the wives and girlfriends of the players who provide such great support to the players, and they're a huge part of the premiership.
Their 5th premiership, 1909, 1918, 1933 as South Melbourne, and then a couple of them as Sydney Swans, 2005 and 2012 last year, 10 points over the Hawks. A great day in the history of the club. So half-time, we're about ready to get things underway. O'Keefe has been terrific. I mentioned during that first half, in both of Sydney's previous outings against the Gold Coast Suns, he has polled the top votes. 2 lots of 3. A free kick now for Riscatelli on the end of that Ablett kick to get things moving. So a goal early would be terrific for the Suns. A handball over the top for Hall. A bit flat-footed there. Hutchins, he comes back inside. Prestia weaved his way through well, but he's just kicked that one offline and a little bit too much on it, out of bounds on the full.
Probably would have liked to see Riscatelli go back and have a shot there. He had the last shot of the first half and almost made the distance from further out. So in that situation, the senior leader in the team needs to go back and take that responsibility on his shoulders.
Hanbury then in the back pocket. Drives the ball towards the defensive 50. Well done, O'Meara. So many skills on show today. The kick not spot on, but Hall, that was a great overhead mark in the conditions. Hall with the outside of the boot. That is a terrific effort. A goal. Aaron Hall, that was a wonderful finish. He threw it onto the outside of the boot and around it came. Never looked like missing.
Yeah, really impressive there from Hall. Great grab also from Jago O'Meara. He's getting... he seems like he's been around for a long time, Jago O'Meara. He took the intercept mark, but seems to be getting better and better with every minute he plays now. Good celebration there by Hall. It's important at the start of these quarters. You've got a new ball to get those goals on early, so a positive start here from the Suns.
Aaron Hall's dad, Dale, was drafted by Sydney in 1990. He was picked 26, but he didn't play, got homesick and went back to Tasmania. His son, Aaron, really making an impression at AFL level here on the big stage. And here he is again. He gathers the football, went with a low, flat one for O'Meara. Didn't quite get there, Richards. Around Hall. Hall did well. Got in the road, pushed him over the line.
We've spoken a bit about O'Meara lately, but certainly for a young player in his second game, it's a huge vote of confidence for the coaching staff to be putting him in those centre square clearances. And he's not only holding his own, he's winning them. So just then we see him take it out of there, and then terrific run and follow up to go into the forward 50. A really dangerous player and great signs for the future of Gold Coast footy.
Just further on Jago O'Meara, who was part of the AFL-AS Academy a couple of years ago, and a former teammate of yours, Craig. Brett Kirk was his mentor and was just really impressed with the way he went about things, particularly his attack on the footy.
Gold Coast have had the first 2 centre clearances to start the second half, and 2 is as many as they had for the whole first half. So promising signs. Murphy, Bennell, and Murphy's arm looks a bit better. And Harbrow stands under that footy and marks it. Thought about the little give to O'Meara, but goes back, gets well back from the man on the mark. Dixon one-handed, then the follow-up, then the fend off Matner. Oh, wouldn't this be a goal? It starts offline and never really online, and perhaps the boundary throw-in not a bad result.
Well, Dixon's putting to the sword the theory that big men can't play in wet conditions today, isn't he? He's everywhere, and he looks so clean, and he runs and he takes off. He's been a real burst of enthusiasm and a spark for Gold Coast.
13 disposals, 2 goals, doing the ruck work as well. Ablett, give him an inch. Not quite the mile taken there, just behind. Kieran Jack right there with him. Promising start by the Gold Coast though, and they've got the margin from 18 points at halftime to 11 points here early going third term.
Just see on the screen, really pressed up here, Gold Coast. Like they started their first quarter, the Swans can get it over the top if they want to exploit them.
McVeigh, we talked about him and sung his praises. A wonderful first half. O'Meara, terrific handball for Carmichael Hunt, but Hunt was on the ground, didn't see it. Now Jeddah's away, explodes. Well done, Hutchins. Got enough on the jumper to affect the kick. Ablett with a couple to beat, got away from Reed. Well done by Thompson. Bennell needed to go harder at it. 2 hands perhaps. Oh, in the back, Hanbury. Carmichael Hunt didn't mean to get him in that area, but I think really Hanbury just ended up in his road, and that was the unfortunate result. Looks okay, Hanbury. Now McVeigh drives it inside 50. McGlynn at the back. Well done, Wilkinson. Got a fist on the ball, stretched the arm up.
Craig, tell us about Dan Hanbury. Saw one of the most courageous marks in the grand final. He must be just as hard as nails.
Absolutely. Averaged over 23 touches last year as well, so he gets in and under, but he actually gets a lot of the football on the outside. And one of those players where you can shut down the McVeighs and the O'Keefes, but he'll quite often bob up and have a huge influence on the game.
Carmichael Hunt with the clearance, the ball right up in the air, and Hanbury again just camped under it. Will send it back towards full forward. It's a longish kick, and that was too easy. Kennedy just bobbed up, marks almost uncontested. 25 out directly in front.
It's demoralising when that happens. You fight so hard in and around the contest. Dan Hanbury just driving it to the dangerous part of the ground. Each Gold Coast Suns player had their direct opponent covered, but you've just got to be a bit more preemptive than that and go for the football.
15 seconds gone, Josh.
Kicked a goal last week. This is his 84th consecutive match. He started that sequence at Hawthorn, and he's really driven it home here with the Sydney Swans. A goal. Sydney by 17 points.
Been pretty well held today, Josh Kennedy. Obviously, the majority of the time, Carmichael Hunt has been assigned that task, but as you said, Tom, you do all the hard work and it can be undone in a few seconds if you don't get some help from your teammates in a pivotal situation 15 metres out from goal.
And here is Dan Hanbury, eyes on the ball. Carmichael Hunt attacks it. Free kick certainly there. And then he sat under the ball moments later. He's an absolute gen, Dan Hanbury.
O'Keefe then gets the ball moving for the Swans, and Jack taken high, maybe even by the legs as the tackle finished. O'Meara bottom of the pack momentarily. Then Jack again, Swallows kick partly blanketed. McVeigh, O'Meara, they keep working in there, the little guys.
In there, Jager O'Meara. No, Dan. Jager O'Meara.
And well done, O'Meara, just kept going. Bennell arguing the case, perhaps the ball had gone to advantage after his socker. Umpire calls it back, and O'Meara out wide. Prestia trying to mark on his chest. We understand that given the conditions. What happened there? That bounced off the back of Good's boot and out of bounds on the full, was it? Well, interesting. Prestia then sends the Suns forward. That's a terrific mark by Day. Clean hands, wet Day, great grab.
Another one from the AFL Academy, and just as a young player, takes his time now into his 3rd season, and that's enough to show that he's got a big future up there. Look, coming from pretty much 3 deep against a quality defender, taking the ball at the highest point, there's not much as a defender you can do about that one.
He kicked a goal last week. 23 games, 13 goals for his career. Just the 4 disposals today, but that was a terrific mark. He sends it goalward now. Wonderful kick off the boot. Terrific finish. The margin back to 11 points. Great grab on what is ostensibly a wet day. Never easy to grab those, and that was very clean. And that's the target that the Gold Coast Suns are hoping that he'll be able to provide, not only today and this season, but in the many years to come.
He hasn't had a lot of the footy, but has shown enough, as he has done in the couple of years he's been in the competition, to suggest that the future is very bright. Big players, as we know, take a bit more time. It's important they start to generate some real enthusiasm here, the Swans. It's just, what are we, 11 points. They need to believe they can win this game.
Well, it's not dissimilar now to how the game was structured last week. St Kilda had got their noses in front in the second term, and if the doubts were going to creep in, they did during the third. They came back. Can they come back again here? Kick forward now. Hanbury involved there. And the kick not terrific. Warnock just peeled off his man and marks in the back pocket. So it's an 11-point ball game. Be terrific for the game if the Gold Coast could get the next goal. O'Meara was taken in a strong tackle. Harbrow working hard. Well done. Carmichael Hunt getting busier in this third term. Hanbury just threw that away. Hunt went again. Here's Bennell away from McVeigh. Ball close to the line. Ablett. With him is Smith. Ablett through the legs. Back to O'Meara. Maybe a throw.
Sydney.
Umpire thought about it and then paid it.
Right there, Jagger.
O'Meara has been terrific though. 17 disposals, just his second game of AFL football, and on a wet day. O'Keefe's had a fair bit of it himself. 16 disposals for him. At the back, Smith kept his feet when the others around him were slipping over. Reed slipped as he kicked. That's not the required distance. Everett's got it though. Intelligent kick for Bolton. Matera hanging on. Umpire signals.
You weren't looking at the ball.
Sydney's
He
way.
was looking at the ball, you were looking at him.
He's holding me.
Nah.
Terrific kick, isn't it?
He's facing
that's
the ball.
the one you
You're
want
looking
your
at him and holding.
teammates to
Thank
do, to identify that you're one out against an opponent who you're clearly physically larger than. When you got Jude Bolton against Matera, kicked it to his advantage, and Jude just was very clever there and played for the free kick, and obviously it was there.
So Bolton, 23 goals last season in a premiership year, a couple last week against GWS, and he's got another one here. Well, bad luck for Matera. It's not easy, and the ball coming in, a stronger opponent. He did his best to make it look like it was a genuine attempt only for the ball, but I don't think there was too much doubt. The arm was there, and umpire's going to pay those every day of the week.
I think it's fair to say, Baz, it's the loneliest part of the ground when you're one out in the goal square and the ball's coming in like that.
Great player Jude Bolton with the finish that you would expect of somebody as accomplished as he. Jack out of the middle, and now they're getting loose, the Swans. Parker again virtually unattended. He was the only man to jump for that footy, and he's marked right on the 50. Inside the square when he kicks. Pike, he read it well off the boot. Free kick, no. Warnock seemed to get him high. The ball over the line. It'll be thrown in.
It's been a good pick up for the Suns, Warnock, I reckon. He just sort of lost his way a bit at Melbourne. They could do with his help at the moment, the D's in the back line, but he's been a really valuable contributor to the Suns since he joined.
Dixon again doing the ruck work. Well done by Mumford at the back. There's Jude Bolton. Game 303 for Jude. Adam Goods, game number 321, playing together for the 290th time and passing Kevin Bartlett and Francis Burke into second position. Teammates playing together. Tyson Edwards and Andrew McLeod have that mantle, ironically, on 307 games.
That's good stuff, Baz.
Tell Hamish, will you? Let him know. Swallow, close to the boundary line. He kept it in. It was a good kick. Now he wants it to go out. Shaw and Shaw, both of them over the line.
How many times do you reckon Bruce and Den have called together? Would they have surpassed Edwards and McLeod?
Well, we know they're mates. That's one thing.
That is true.
I reckon they've gone past that mark as well. Both debuted, incidentally. Not Dennison. Not Dennison Bruce, but Goods and Bolton. Last century. Adam Goods round 1 1999, Bolton round 12 1999. Roberts Thompson left it behind. Riscatelli, did he get a handball away legally? May to Matera at the other end to make amends. Across the square and into the post, unlucky. So O'Keefe then clearing kick out in the Hanbury direction, and Hanbury, he started this third term well. That's his 5th, make it 6 disposals for Dan Hanbury. He's found Parker. Suddenly they're at midfield. Kick not so good. Lucky though, got to Mumford. Bolton again. Long down towards full forward. The strength of Mike Pike in front. The Canadian marks.
He's improved. I know his premiership play probably played arguably his best game in the grand final, but you watch the replay here in the bodywork. He didn't go straight for the ball. He knew exactly where Warnock was, took a couple of steps to give himself a bit of room, then launched and took it the highest position.
I wonder if he's thinking here, Craig, do this for Jorge or do it for George?
I've got no doubt Basil he is having those thoughts.
All right. He had a little boy only 2 weeks ago. Some call him Jorge, some call him George. Nice result. It's a goal, Mike Pike. Sydney now out to a 22-point lead.
He is a great story. Had his critics early days, and hear him talk when he first started and first came to the Swans that Paul Roos was the coach at the time and told him he's going to have to work for his spot on the list, and he's just done that. He presents himself in fantastic condition every week. Now a father, life's pretty good for Mike Pike. Tell us a bit about Mike, Craig.
Well, he's that classic project player that I think's far exceeded expectations on the field. But he's a guy who's embraced the Australian culture off the field. He loves being a part of the team, and signed a new contract last year, which is great reward for effort, not only in the footballing sense, but actually having to uproot yourself and his wife and come over here. So it's great to see a real success story.
Here they come forward again. O'Keefe, 6 straight from set shots, the Sydney Swans. This one on the run, a behind only. It cleared the line. Sydney's lead now 23 points. Their biggest lead of the game, 25 points, and that was late in the second term. It's a promising start to this third quarter by the Gold Coast Suns, but again, Sydney just steadying. Dangerous kick out for Swallow. It didn't get there. Well done by Jack, the co-captain. Throws it on the boot and celebrates a captain's goal.
Really starting to get rolling now, the Sydney Swans. And you got the sense in the second half of that second quarter that the Swans were starting to get their mojo going. Jared McVeigh was the player. Kieran Jack's been up and about. Brian O'Keefe rock solid. So much better signs here from the Suns. Real test now for the Suns to continue to burrow in. Take a leaf out of Jago O'Meara's book. David Swallows had the 16 disposals as well. So real challenge here for Gold Coast. Another project player of sorts when you think that Kieran Jack, son of a rugby league legend Gary Jack, and now captain of the Swans. Fantastic for footy in Sydney.
Kieran Jack, one of 8 goal kickers for the Sydney Swans. 29 points their lead now, the biggest of the afternoon. Hutchins goes long, inside 50. Hall, the target. That was always going to be a tough one to mark. He's been a terrific player and rewarded, obviously, Craig, with the co-captaincy. And that theme or idea of co-captaincy, it remains very much alive here in Sydney.
Absolutely. I think John Longmire inherited that mantle or that philosophy that with co-captaincy, and you know, they're big advocates of it for a number of reasons, but certainly the on-field, spreading the on-field ability to lead.
Bennell, long kick out of the pack, very long kick. Now we've got a whistle, might be the Gold Coast way. Charlie Dixon in the square. He's going to go back and kick his third.
That's 7-zip the free kick count for Charlie Dixon. He's on good terms with it. That's Jordan Bannister, ex-teammate of Andrew Welsh's at Essendon, and obviously Carlton as well. He's been imposing, been really impressive, Charlie.
So Charlie Dixon for 3. He's got it, and it's back to a 23-point margin. He's been a really good player, and again, I guess when you're being hung onto in the goal square like that, it shows the defence are worried about you. Dixon has provided a really good target. 14 disposals, 3 goals. He's been close to the Gold Coast best.
Absolutely. Great return for him. Started in the ruck, obviously, but the ability to go forward and get some scoreboard pressure as well as moving around the ground well has been great.
Just see the free kick there. It's the last pull. The umpires in that situation want to see some visual clues. The arm around from Grundy on the white jump was obvious there and earned the free kick.
I think what happened there, Grundy noticed the ball was starting to drift towards the line and thought, gee, I better get involved here, and that's when the free kick came. For a quick reply at the other end, Jack, he goes long. Adam Goodes might have a free kick here, and Everett's played on. There won't be advantage paid.
All clear then?
Oh, there is advantage paid. So he played on, and as a result, just a behind when Adam Goodes would have gone back from only 15 metres out. He won't be happy, Goodsy.
I don't think he is. I think that's an understatement, Basil. He's got sold a dummy and some candy by Jared McVeigh earlier in the game, and that'll really top it off there.
So obviously what's happened there is Everett has decided to play on, and it's their call now.
Yep.
Let's get down to Andrew Welsh.
The Swans have gone really tall during this third quarter. They've got Goodes up forward, they've got Reid, they've got Everett, and also Mumford. It worked really well for them last week against GWS, so I think they're trying to exploit maybe the little bit tired Gold Coast taller defenders.
So how does Andreas Everett make up for that one, Craig? Does it wash the former skipper's car, or...?
I think, yeah, that during the week, and I think next time he gets a footy, he'll probably be best advised to look pretty closely to see where Goodes is lining up.
A bit unlucky, but it was clear that Adam wasn't too happy. The ball is on the wing, a high tackle.
Riscatelli.
Been good today, having said that, Everett. He's come into the side and really got around the football. Riscatelli, long one. Off hands from Richards. Down to Roberts Thompson, who kicked into the pack right in front of him. It comes back his way. Here's Dixon again. Now to Hall. We've seen him. He's a lively finisher. Well done, Aaron Hall. They come again, the Gold Coast.
Just another little surge here from the Suns, again like the last quarter, where seemingly the Swans getting right on top. It's good character, good composure here by the Gold Coast Suns. I agree with Craig earlier in the call talking about Riscatelli. He has been good. He's had the 8 contested possessions and really providing some support to Ablett and the like in the midfield. And Jago O'Meara continuing to be the most impressive of the young Suns players with 19 touches. Charlie Dixon again involved. It's been good, Hall, hasn't he, Baz?
2 goals now for Hall and 10 disposals to go with it. He really has been a live wire up forward, and again it's back to 18 points, so that was the margin at 3/4 time, and I reckon given the way it's played out, it was 29 points just a moment ago. I think they'd be pretty happy with this, the Gold Coast.
Yeah, no doubt about that. It's this time of the game where the players do, I guess, long for their 3/4 time break. It's important the Suns just keep the foot down, keep focusing on the basics, winning the contested ball and driving the ball forward.
Well, it's still almost 8 minutes away, so a long time. And the Gold Coast, although they've done well to get back into it, need to be careful not to lose their concentration. Richards, he loses concentration that time. Straight to the Suns. Ablett's got it from Riscatelli. He gets around one, kicks quickly to the pocket. Matera has marked. Now he's very good close to the boundary line. He might look to pass off, or he might look to be looking to pass off, if you know what I mean.
Go back and kick the goal.
Well, he's capable from here. He really is a good finish. He carries the right name to be a sharpshooter. Matera, it goes across the face, and Shaw drifts in and marks.
It's a great mark.
Well, he read that well, didn't he? Just drifting across, and right place, right time, Matt Shaw.
Well, the conditions certainly have dried up, so the ball wouldn't be heavy or slippery. Not a difficult shot. The angle, not too bad, not a long distance out. This would be a great fillip for the Gold Coast Suns.
Well, this, for the last 3 goals of the game for the Gold Coast Suns, to get it back to 2 goals. Shaw's kick is on its way, and that's exactly what he's done. We've got a ball game here at the SCG.
Well, terrific finish, and what I liked about that scoring chain is that Gary Ablett was involved. He's been very well held up to date, but if he can have a bit of a breakout quarter, he's had 16 possessions, he's had a moderate influence on the game to date, not what we expect. If he can up his ante and perhaps get a few telling possessions, could certainly increase the momentum that Gold Coast are currently generating.
Just keeping his eyes on the footy here. I mean, don't typically like to have 3 forwards going at the same time, but it shows they're all desperate to win the ball. They've got Ablett now in the middle, O'Meara in the middle, really keen to get the next centre clearance.
They've really dominated the last couple of minutes. The last 3 goals of the game, that's close to holding the ball. Just got his boot to it. Here's Ablett again. Those last 3 goals from just 13 Gold Coast Suns possessions. Adam Goods, though, gets rid of Hutchins at the other end. Across the face, the champ just misses. 13-point ball game.
Great induction for Hutchins today, isn't it? First game of the year up against, he's been pitted against Adam Goods for the majority of the game. He's done a pretty good job. Goods has been pretty quiet, but just learning a lesson or two, particularly in that last contest.
Well done, O'Meara. A couple of possessions there. It was a good fist away from Jeddah, but O'Meara came again. Ball close to the line. Can Zach Smith keep it in? He tried. It rolled away from him and will be thrown in. So, well, this has been the story of the afternoon, Craig, for the Sydney Swans. They've stamped their authority and then let the Gold Coast Suns back in. Similar situation last week. I'm guessing John Longmire wouldn't be that wrapped with the start to the season so far.
Absolutely. Well, we knew they're probably a bit slow to hit their straps given their delayed start to the pre-season, but they did have this problem last year where they would be susceptible to lapses in concentration, obviously a quick flurry of scores against. So they're going to want to stem the flow now and make sure they get the terms of the game back on their...
Nick Smith was in a bit of trouble there. He got the ball across and they got out of it. Parker's kicked forward. Here's Matera, though, on the end of it. Murphy and Prestia were involved, and now the mark is taken by Day. They're doing all the attacking. The kick needed to be good. What about that mark from Hanbury? Sitting down, back on the turf. He reached up and grabbed it.
Well, there's plenty... A really bad, poor turnover there for the Gold Coast Suns. They had space, they had one-on-one contest, potentially in their forward 50, just a one-step kick from Sam Day, but they live to fight another day.
They might have a bit more here. Hutchins goes long. Mike Pike got very high, couldn't mark. Ball hits the deck. And the kick now from Grundy for Kennedy. Gets it on the bounce. He's got some space with which to operate. 13 points is the lead. And well done, Hutchins. He's done really well on Adam Goods. Wouldn't say he's won the contest, but he has not given in.
And that's a really courageous tactical move there by Hutchins. Had the courage to play about a metre and a half in front of Goods and took the intercept mark.
Thompson high, Prestia on the ground now. The big ruckman, Zach Smith. Well done, Mike Pike, got it over the head. Ablett starting to get busy, needs to find it on the ground, does eventually. Back to Swallow, whose kick goes towards half forward. Day came with a big fly, couldn't hang on that time. O'Keefe, possession number 20 towards the attacking 50. Plenty of numbers around it here for the Gold Coast Suns. And Murphy mops up, sends a long one. Well done, Day. Got an important fist in there over the line on half forward. Have a look at this, boys. You're going well if you can mark the football on the deck.
Just the one-step kick there from Sammy Day, and Dan Hanbury saw him take one of the most courageous marks in the grand final, but can do it sitting down.
Well done, wasn't it? Here's Shaw. His handball a little loose, could be dangerous. It's flicked out the back now. Bolton sinks the slipper into it on Golden Slipper Day. Inside 50, McGlynn. Wilkinson maybe being hung on to there by Goods. McGlynn gets to 35. He hits the post.
Do you pass off in that situation?
Yeah, well, I would have thought that Daniel Hanbury and Sam Reid believe you do. They're the ones giving him a bit of a mouthful at the moment. But that was terrific spread from the stoppage. There's so much mention of this word spread, and that's what it is when there's a congestion on the wing and then 3 or 4 Swans players streaming so much harder forward than their opponents.
We just got to look at John Longmire, and I reckon he thought that needed to be passed off as well. Riscatelli, it was dangerous to Prestia. They might get out of it. Well done, Murphy. Back to Riscatelli, and that's a terrific effort. Diving across the boot. Well done, Luke Parker.
Luke Parker's a Jude Bolton prototype. I think they drafted him in that mould, and he's just progressed, and he's in and under. He is hard, and that smother is typical what you expect from the young Luke Parker.
Just seeing Craig Bird on screen now. Andrew Welsh, any sign of movement from the subs from either club?
Yeah, there's some tired boys out there at the moment. I think round 2 and also the weather conditions is making it a little bit tough. So I don't think the subs will be too far off and provide a bit more spark for this game.
Hanbury got his kick away just before Carmichael Hunt crashed across his body. Handball to McGlynn. It came out from Bolton. And the ball is over the line for a behind. The umpire's just conferring, or is it a boundary throwing?
Yep. So it's around to the post. Yep. What did you say?
I just came through the line and wasn't getting an assist.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna have a score review because we're checking whether it's a behind or not. We believe it. Yep. We believe it's out of bounds. But we'd like to check. So we'd like to score review. We believe it's out of bounds, but we'd just like to make sure it didn't go through for a point.
Okay, well, that's a fair explanation. Umpire Jordan Bannister with that footy feel.
Former teammate of Andrew Welsh. Did you perhaps just see it here? What do we got here, Bez? Ben McGlynn's made contact with the post.
That's a behind.
Yep. Has to be, doesn't it?
Unless the Geesh has changed the rules on us, that's a point.
Review completed. Confirm behind.
Confirm behind.
Thanks for that. A little bit of trepidation on both of our behalves there, Baz.
Wiping the sweat off the Jared Harbrow.
Yeah, exactly.
So behind it is, keeps it interesting. Sydney by 15 points. Gold Coast Suns searching for the next goal to make it 4 in a row. Parker's handball over the top to Reid. McGlynn involved a lot in the last couple of minutes. Adam Goods, Wilkinson reaching over. Well done. And Wilkinson's been good again today as well. That's Joel Wilkinson. Ball in quickly. It's with Bennell.
Well, speaking of the subs before, we've got Bird for the Swans and Brennan for the Gold Coast Suns. So we'll just cast an eye over potentially who could come off for either side.
Beautiful roving off the pack by Riscatelli. He's away here. Nothing really to kick to. Now Swallow breaks for him. Swallow needed that football on the chest, not to bounce in front of him. Unlucky, but poor disposal, and they're away now, the Swans. A bit lucky. Grundy across to Shaw. Up the line. It's taken by Everett. He moves the ball quickly to Reid. Great tackle, Thompson. He did well there. Very desperate ball over the line.
What do you reckon, Bolts, for the sub? Craig Bird is the one for the Sydney Swans. What would you be looking to change?
Well, Martin Matten has actually started to inject himself in the game. He was reasonably quiet. He's had a touch or two recently, but he's been a player that's had a really limited pre-season. Last week he didn't see a lot of game time, and so he'd probably be the likely suspect, I would have thought, to get Craig Bird in and playing.
Free kick to Sydney. It's being sent long again, and that's unfortunate. We've seen that 3 or 4 times in this term. Parker has taken the mark, and Andrew Welsh, we've got movement down there.
Yeah, Jared Brennan, guys, is warming up. He's taken the vest off. It's going to be the battle of the subs here. I think Bird's your tough, gritty inside midfielder, and now Brennan. Hopefully he can add some spark for the Gold Coast.
So Parker, no mucking around. He gets on the runway quickly, sends it long and straight and strong back to a 22-point lead for Sydney. Well, they had all the play there, the Gold Coast Suns, and they're going to rue Riscatelli's kick forward. Swallow just needed it to sit on his chest. He was away and probably could have a shot. Not only did it bounce in front of him, but also then bounced away, and the ball pretty quickly to the other end of the ground. So back to 22 points. It was 18 at half-time.
See Jared Brennan there for the Gold Coast Suns. He's been subbed and straight into the middle of the ground. Jack Hutchins, who spent most of the afternoon on Adam Goods, did a pretty good job, I think. A bit of a surprise.
He had been doing well. Not sure if he's injured. Didn't appear to be. So I guess a case of throwing a man forward and attacking. That's what they need to do to win the game. And Brennan immediately into the action. A long kick, but Shaw has read that best for Sydney.
It may also be to give Wilkinson a crack on Adam Goods. I think as a coach, Guy McKenna's always trying to balance up development versus obviously the ultimate outcome, which is winning the game. Hutchins has been great, but it's also a really good chance for Wilkinson, who is athletically gifted, to match up against one of the greatest players to play the game.
Jack's got the footy, sends it long down in the Mumford direction. Kennedy off hands, roved it well, sends it inside 50. Nobody in there. First one to arrive, Warnock. First job was to pick the ball up cleanly. Almost did that. Had no one really to give it to. It got away from him. Bolton's tackle ferocious. Well done by Thompson. Swung around as he kicks towards midfield. O'Meara needed to be strong. Did pretty well. Hall. Handball for Ablett. A floaty one. Back to O'Meara. Well done by the young Suns there. They were under pressure and they stood reasonably tall. It's three-quarter time. It's not over. It has been an entertaining contest. It's the Gold Coast Suns 8-6-54. Sydney 11-10-76.